All right, I'll get rolling with the first part of the story. Here it is. I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Dave, and I've been married to my wife, Lisa, for about 8 years now. We have a foster kid, Emily, who's 14, and for the most part, we've had a decent life. Not perfect, but decent. Lisa's the kind of woman who's always been a bit bitchy, quick to lie, and never really transparent about her feelings. But I trusted her, or at least I thought I did. You know how it is when you're in a long-term relationship. You assume you know your partner inside and out. Those early signs of trouble started about 6 months ago. Lisa started becoming more secretive, hiding her phone more and snapping at me over little things. I'd catch her deleting texts, hiding her screen when I walked by, and she'd get defensive if I ever tried to look through her stuff. I brushed it off at first, thinking she was just stressed or maybe had some new friends she didn't want me to know about. But deep down, I felt something was wrong. I mean, I've seen enough movies to know when a woman's hiding something. Then things with Emily started to get weird. Lisa insisted on doing her home visits herself, and she'd be gone for hours sometimes. She'd come back looking a little too satisfied, a little too secretive. I'd ask her what she'd been doing, and she'd wave me off, say she was just talking to Emily's social worker, or she'd be on her phone with her friends. I didn't think much of it at the time. I figured she was just busy or stressed trying to do her best with Emily, but I was wrong. Something was going on, and I was about to find out just how deep the rabbit hole went. One day, I decided to check her phone while she was in the shower. Honestly, I wasn't planning to do anything crazy, just a quick peek. But what I found, it hit me like a freight train. There were messages, texts that made me feel sick to my stomach. Flirty ones, suggestive pictures, and even some that clearly indicated she was having sex with someone. It took me a second to process what I was looking at. I felt my stomach turn over. I couldn't believe it. My wife, the woman I trusted with everything, was cheating on me. And not just with some random guy, she was having an affair with Emily's social worker, Mark. The worst part, it all made sense now. The secretive calls, the hours gone, the way she'd always get defensive when I asked about Emily's visits. She had been sneaking around, lying to my face the entire time. I stood there holding her phone, my mind racing. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, sadness, everything at once. I didn't even know what to do at first. My heart was pounding. I wanted to scream, I wanted to cry, I wanted to just shake her and ask her what the hell was going on. But I didn't do any of that right away. I just stayed there, staring at the screen, trying to process this new reality. I knew I had to confront her. But I also knew, deep down, that my wife was a liar, a manipulative, bitchy liar, and I had no idea what her excuse would be. I was angry, hurt, and honestly feeling pretty stupid for trusting her all these years. How could I have missed all this? How did she manage to keep me in the dark for so long? Let me know if you'd like me to continue with the next part. All right, here's the next chunk of the story. I took a deep breath and decided I couldn't just ignore what I'd seen. I needed to confront her immediately. I waited until she came out of the shower, trying to keep my composure, but my hands were trembling. She stepped into the bedroom, all relaxed and casual, as if nothing was wrong. I looked at her and I could see the flicker of something in her eyes, annoyance maybe, or was it guilt? Hard to tell with her. "Lisa," I started, voice tight. "Can we talk?" She smirked, the same bitchy smirk I'd seen 1,000 times before when she thought she was in control. "What's there to talk about, Dave? I've been busy, that's all. Work gets hectic sometimes." I held up her phone. "No, I think we need to talk about this," I said, showing her the messages. Her face flickered. With surprise and act, I knew. She tried to snatch the phone away, but I held it out of her reach. "You've been lying to me, Lisa. I found out about Mark, about your affair. You've been cheating with him during Emily's home visits, haven't you?" Her eyes widened for a second, then narrowed. "What are you talking about? You're crazy. You're overreacting. Mark's just a friend. You don't understand how stressful all this is for me." I shook my head, feeling my stomach twist. "Don't lie to me. I saw the messages. The photos, the texts. You've been sneaking around with him, having sex, lying to my face about everything. How long has this been going on? Months? Longer?" She crossed her arms, trying to put on her usual bitchy mask. "Look, Dave, I don't owe you an explanation. Mark's a good man and he's been helping me cope. That doesn't mean I love him or want to leave you, it's just..." Sex. It's just sex, okay? Things got complicated and I didn't mean for you to find out this way. I looked at her feeling a mix of fury and heartbreak. You do get to call it just sex, Lisa. You've been lying, sneaking around behind my back, during home visits with Emily in the house. Do you even realize how disgusting that is? Or are you so self-absorbed that you don't care? She rolled her eyes, sneering. You're overreacting, Dave. It's not that deep. Things happen and I was just looking for comfort. You think I'm perfect, please. You're not exactly Mr. Innocent either. That was a punch in the gut. She had the nerve to throw my flaws in my face like that somehow justified her betrayal. I felt my jaw tighten. I wanted to scream at her, tell her how much she'd hurt me, but I didn't. Instead, I just stared at her, my mind swirling with anger, confusion, and betrayal. The next thing I remember is walking out of the room, grabbing my keys. I needed space. I needed to think. I spent the rest of that night in my garage, just sitting there with my thoughts, my hands clenched into fists. I thought about everything. Her lies, her sneaking around, the fact that she'd been sleeping with another man while pretending to care about Emily. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, left to bleed out slowly. I wasn't sure what I was going to do next, but I knew one thing: my trust was shattered, completely broken, and I wasn't going to pretend everything was fine anymore. Not after this. Let me know if you'd like me to continue with part 3. Here's the third part of the story. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. I couldn't sleep, kept replaying everything in my head. Her sneaky texts, that smug look she gave me when she lied, the way she tried to downplay everything like I was overreacting. I kept asking myself, what am I supposed to do now? Because the truth was, I was furious, but I was also hurt beyond words. My entire life felt like it was crumbling, piece by piece. I got up and decided I needed to talk to someone who'd give me real advice, not just try to sugarcoat the pain. So I called my brother Mike, told him everything. He was furious, naturally. Said Lisa was a bitch and that I deserved better than a liar like her. But he also warned me not to do anything stupid, like, I don't know, confront her again right away or blow everything up without thinking. While I was talking to Mike, I decided I had to see Mark face to face. I needed to get some answers from the guy. I knew where he worked, an office nearby, and I figured I could go there, have a little chat. I wasn't planning to ruin his life or anything, but I wanted him to know I wasn't stupid, that I knew what was going on. And honestly, I wanted to see his face when I told him I'd figure out what he was doing with my wife. I drove to his office, feeling tense and angry. I didn't tell Lisa I was coming. Hell, I didn't want her to know I was planning anything. I just wanted to see Mark in his environment, see how he'd react when confronted face to face. When I got there, I saw him sitting at his desk, typing away. I didn't bother with pleasantries. "Mark," I said, loudly enough to make him look up. He looked surprised, startled, probably not expecting me to show up. "We need to talk." His face went pale. Dave, what's going on?" I stepped closer, keeping my tone steady. "I know about you and my wife, about the affair. During Emily's home visits, right? You've been sleeping with her." He looked uncomfortable, shifting in his seat. "Listen, man, I didn't mean for it to get this way. Lisa's been going through a lot and Save it," I cut him off. "You think I don't know what kind of manipulative bitch she is? She's lied to me for months. Got me convinced she's just stressed, just doing her job, but I found the truth. She's been cheating with you and I want to hear it from you. Did you two fuck during those visits? Did you have sex?" He looked down, then nodded slowly. "Yeah, we did. I couldn't help myself. She's beautiful and smart, and I guess we just clicked. It wasn't supposed to go this far, I swear." That anger I'd been feeling, it exploded. I clenched my fists. "You're a fucking idiot. You think she's just some innocent victim. She's a manipulative bitch who's been lying to everyone, including her own husband. I don't care what you say, but I'm telling you this. I'm not gonna let her get away with this shit." He looked at me, regret written all over his face. "I get it, man. I screwed up. I'll leave her alone, I swear. I didn't mean to hurt you, but I was weak. She's got a way of making you feel special, you know." I shook my head, disgusted. "You don't get it. She's a liar. She's been using you, using me, using everyone around her. I don't know what she's trying to turn herself into, but I do know I'm done being the fool. I'm done with her lies, and I'm damn sure not going to let her keep messing with everyone's life." I turned and walked out, feeling a strange mixture of relief and pain. Confronting Mark had been necessary. I needed to see if he truly understood what he was involved in, and he did. His remorse was real, I guess, but it didn't change what Lisa had done. That night I sat alone in the living room, staring at the wall. My mind kept jumping back to her, how she could be so bitchy, so manipulative, so completely willing to betray everyone she said she loved. I started questioning everything, our whole marriage, her feelings, my own judgment. How did I not see this coming? How could I have been so blind? The worst part, I still loved her, or at least I thought I did. But now I wasn't sure what that meant anymore. Whatever I decided to do, it was clear that my life had changed forever. I just hoped I had the strength to face whatever came next. Let me know if you want me to continue with part 4. Here's part 4 of the story. The next few days were a blur. I couldn't sleep, couldn't concentrate. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, her bitchy smirk, her sneering lies. I kept wondering how I missed all the signs, how I was so blind to her manipulations. The trust I'd built over almost a decade was shattered into pieces, and I didn't know if I could ever put it back together. I decided I needed to talk to Emily, our foster daughter, more than ever. She was only 14, but she knew Lisa well enough. I hoped she might have seen something, heard something, or just understood more than I did. When I finally sat her down, she was quiet at first, fidgeting nervously. "Emily," I said softly, "I need to ask you something. Has Mom ever said or done anything around you that made you uncomfortable, anything that didn't seem right?" She looked down and hesitated, then finally spoke. "Well, sometimes she'd be really secretive about her phone. She'd hide it when I'd come into the room. And sometimes she'd get mad if I asked her questions about her visits, like she didn't want me to know what was going on." That hit me hard. I felt a stab of guilt mixed with anger. I'd been so focused on my own pain, I hadn't even considered how Emily was feeling. She was caught in the middle of all this, and I had no idea how much she might have suspected or seen. "She's always been a little bitchy," Emily added softly, "but I didn't really think she was cheating or anything. I just thought she was stressed. But now that I know what you told me, I think she was hiding something." Hearing her say that made me realize how much damage Lisa had done, lying to her own daughter, manipulating everyone around her. It made me even angrier. I'd always tried to protect Emily, and now I saw how her mother's lies had put her in a tough spot. I decided I had to keep my distance from Lisa for now. I couldn't trust her anymore, not with my heart, not with Emily's safety. So I started planning my next move carefully. I knew I needed a plan that wouldn't blow everything up in my face but would make sure she knew I wasn't going to let her keep hurting us. I also reached out to a lawyer. I wanted to understand what my options were: divorce, custody, the legalities of everything. I didn't want to make any rash decisions, but I knew one thing: I couldn't stay with her. Not after this betrayal. The woman I married was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. Meanwhile, Lisa kept up her act, acting like everything was normal, pretending she was the victim, throwing her bitchy little jabs when she thought nobody was looking. She'd say things like, "Oh, you're overreacting, Dave. It's not that serious," or "You're just insecure. I'd never cheat on you," with that dismissive tone that made my blood boil. One night I finally lost my patience. I sat her down and told her she needed to be honest about everything. I said, "Look, Lisa, I know about Mark. I know you've been lying to me for months. If you want to keep pretending everything's fine, go ahead. But I'm done. I need to know if there's anything else I should know, because I'm not going to keep playing this game." She looked at me with that bitchy smirk again. "You're so dramatic, Dave. You think I'm cheating on you, but honestly, I'm just trying to get through the day. You're the one who's always so insecure. Maybe if you weren't so controlling, I wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere for comfort." That was the moment I realized she had no intention of taking responsibility. It was always going to be my fault in her eyes. I felt a deep sense of heartbreak and rage. The woman I loved was gone, replaced by this manipulative, bitchy version who was trying to turn everything around and make me the bad guy. I knew then I had to get out. I couldn't stay in a marriage built on lies, betrayal, and manipulation. I'd been played, and I'd let her do it for too long. I had no idea what the future held, but one thing was clear: I was done accepting her bullshit. I needed to start over, even if it meant tearing everything apart to do it. Let me know if you want me to continue with part 5. Here's part 5 of the story. The days after that confrontation were some of the hardest I've ever experienced. I felt like I was walking around in a fog, everything blurry and surreal. I'd made my decision. I was going to leave her. No matter what, I couldn't stay married to someone who had lied, cheated, and manipulated everyone around her. But that didn't make it easier. Not by a long shot. I started packing my things slowly, taking only what I absolutely needed. I didn't want to blow everything up immediately. I needed a plan. I needed to figure out how to do this without making her retaliate or cause more damage. But I also knew that the longer I stayed, the more she'd try to manipulate me into staying, and I couldn't let that happen. While I was packing, she finally noticed. She came into the room, her face twisted with annoyance. "What are you doing? Where are you going? Don't tell me you're leaving me over some stupid affair," she snapped, her voice dripping with bitchy sarcasm. I looked at her, tired and drained but resolute. "Yeah, Lisa, I am. I can't keep living in this lie. I found out everything. The affair, the lies, your manipulations. I don't want to be with someone who doesn't respect me or our marriage anymore. I'm done." Her eyes narrowed and she scoffed. "Oh, so now you're the victim. Please, you're overreacting because you're insecure. You always were insecure. Honestly, I don't know what you expect me to do, stay with a man who's so paranoid." I felt my blood boil. "You're the one who's been paranoid. You've been sneaking around, cheating, lying, everything I suspected. I've had enough of your bullshit, Lisa. I deserve better, and I'm leaving." She crossed her arms, her bitchy smirk back in place. "Fine, leave then, see how far that gets you. You're just running away because you can't handle the truth. You're weak, Dave, weak and pathetic." Those words stung worse than I thought they would, but I didn't let her see it. Instead, I took a deep breath and said, "Maybe I am weak for staying this long, but I'm not anymore. I'm done being your punching bag. I'll be gone before you know it." That night, I slept in my car. I didn't want to stay in the house anymore, not with her there, pretending everything was normal. I knew she'd try to spin things, paint me as the bad guy, but I didn't care. I was finally free, at least from her physical presence. Emotionally, that would take longer to heal. The next morning, I called a friend, Tom, told him what was happening, asked if I could crash at his place for a few days. I needed time, space to breathe and figure out my next move. I also contacted a lawyer and scheduled a meeting for the following week. I wanted to make sure I was protected, especially concerning Emily. I wasn't about to lose her over Lisa's bullshit. Meanwhile, Lisa was nothing if not bitchy and dramatic. She kept texting me, trying to guilt me into staying, calling me names, accusing me of abandoning her. But I ignored her. I knew her game. She was trying to make me feel guilty so I'd come crawling back, but I was done playing her manipulative little game. That evening, I sat outside Tom's house, staring at the stars and thinking about everything I'd lost and everything I still had to do. I felt numb, yet strangely relieved. For the first time in years, I was taking control of my life again. I'd been a fool for so long, believing her lies, trusting her blindly. But no more. I knew it wouldn't be easy. I knew there would be a lot of pain, a lot of anger, and probably some more surprises I hadn't uncovered yet. But I also knew I had to do what was best for me and Emily. I'd protect her, give her a better life, free from her mother's manipulations and betrayal. And so I made my decision. I was going to start fresh. Leave the past behind and rebuild, even if it meant starting from nothing. Because deep down I knew I deserved better. We all do. Let me know if you'd like me to finish with part 6. Here's the final part of the story. The days that followed were a whirlwind. I went to the lawyer's office, sorted out the divorce papers, and made arrangements for custody of Emily. I knew this wasn't going to be easy, but it was necessary. I also started therapy, something to help me process everything I'd been through. Trusting someone again, loving someone again, seemed impossible right now, but I knew I had to start somewhere. Lisa's reaction was predictable. She threw every tantrum in the book, calling me names, accusing me of abandoning her, trying to manipulate Emily into staying with her. She even showed up at Tom's house, begging me to come back, acting like the victim, crying crocodile tears. I just looked at her coldly and told her I was done, Done with her lies, her manipulations, her bitch attitude. I wasn't going to let her control me anymore. Throughout the whole process, I realized how much her cheating and lying had poisoned everything. I was angry, so angry, it burned inside me every time I thought about how she'd betrayed my trust, but I also felt a strange sense of relief. I was finally free from the toxic mess she'd created. Emily, my beautiful girl, was the hardest part. She loved her mom, but she also saw through her lies. She told me she was glad I was leaving because she didn't like how Lisa was acting. I promised her I'd give her a safe, happy home, one built on honesty this time. It hurt to see her caught in the middle of all this chaos, but I knew I had to be the stable, honest influence she needed. The truth was, I'd learned a lot through all this. I learned not to ignore the small signs of trouble, to trust my instincts, and most of all, that no matter how much you love someone, if they're manipulative, selfish, and unfaithful, love isn't enough. Sometimes you have to walk away to save yourself and those you love. Looking back, I understand now that betrayal cuts deep, but it also clarifies what truly matters. I spent so long trying to hold everything together, trying to fix something that was already broken underneath. But now I see clearly. I'm better off without her. I'm better off focusing on giving Emily the childhood she deserves, one filled with honesty, safety, and love. I still feel the sting of her betrayal, but I also feel hope. Hope for a future where I can trust again, where I can be truly happy. And that's what I want anyone reading this to remember. No matter how bad it gets, you can pick yourself up. You can rebuild. Sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you'll ever do. And in the end, it might be the only way to truly find peace. Thanks for letting me share my story. I don't regret what happened because it taught me who I am, stronger, wiser, and finally free. That's the conclusion. Hope it helps or resonates in some way.